my purpose found itself within all this, conflicts of interest in terms of the entrepreneurship, my background, and other entrepreneurs, the people I was with. So, and now I realize that a lot of people need this awakening because we cannot be performing in a sleeping state, which is only controlled by the physical thing, not the energies and the vibration that we all made of.
I'm really excited to have you on my show, Parveen. Thank you for coming on Staying Ageless. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, you have a really, really inspiring story, and but I like your story because it's kind of like, hey, I'm gonna go achieve all this worldly success stuff, and I'm gonna come from a background that was probably challenging, and then I will achieve all this worldly success stuff. But then I get there, and then I'm like, that actually wasn't exactly what it was all cut up to be, and it seemed like you found purpose in the middle of feeling like maybe what is all this financial stuff about? I don't know. I want to hear more about just that, what that was like for you and what some of the highlights.
No, definitely. Growing up in a household, my dad has an alcohol addiction. Nice, very nice person, but when you are drinking substance, you're a different person at that time. So,
Yeah.
faced a lot of challenges in terms of seeing life from a different perspective, getting scared, understanding fear firsthand, and then thinking, obviously when you grow up, you want to be away from all this, and at the same time, when you have so many good things like materialistic things, you will be able to solve a lot of problem, right? You want to grow
Mm-hmm.
up, you want to become something, you want to have houses, you want to have cars and everything else. So growing up in that environment, so you want to get out of the environment, but then you want to get into a different environment, right? Because that's what everyone does. People think, I'm born in this and I want to get out of this, because we at that time we don't know the deeper meaning of life. We see one environment and we use that environment to say basically we don't want to be part of this environment, we want to be part of a different environment. But the different environment is a discovery process, right? So for me
Mm-hmm.
it was more about finding a business, becoming an entrepreneur, and then having money and to be able to do things, right? But then when I reached that level, then you understand, I mean, I'm only developing meaning in outer space, basically things that are physical, outside. And these things can easily vanish, like I said to you,
Mm-hmm.
basically things can happen in life, and life always brings different things at different times. So I felt great having these things, but after a while, but once you achieve the success, once you go climb one mountain, you after you jump for a while, you're like, okay, now what's next? Right?
Right.
So it's kind of the feeling, and and that's what happened with a lot of entrepreneurs these days. They keep on going on the next level because it gives them the adrenaline, right? To get there. So I think in a way it's a good thing because it gives you that basically focus in terms of keep going and developing new things in this world, but you lose yourself internally, and
Yeah.
that's the main, you lose substance, and that's what's happening with the current entrepreneurs. So when I was at a retreat, when I saw we were talking to other entrepreneurs, everybody kind of spoke in the same way. Then I realized I'm part of the same mess. So now I
Mm.
need to come out of this. I can still be a good entrepreneur, I can still be a good person, I can still have things around me, but at the same time I can still be more connected deeply, have
Mm.
more better meaning in life. And that's what inspired me to kind of, my purpose found itself within all this, conflicts of interest in terms of the entrepreneurship, my background, and other entrepreneurs, the people I was with. So and now I realize that a lot of people need this awakening because we cannot be performing in a sleeping state, which is only controlled by the physical thing, not the energies and the vibration that we all made of.
Yes, yes. So tell me, what does it mean to be activated? So you're Mr. Activated.
No,
What does that mean?
exactly. So so once again, if you think about it, What does
Mm.
in chemistry, what does the activation means? Activation energy, right? You push
Mhm.
something and you activate it in a different form, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the basic amount of energy that is required to have something get done is activation energy. So the way I consider activation is basically we all have been living a lifestyle basically where I feel like after a long time when I opened my eyes is a lifestyle that is not awakened. So activation is basically awakening the positivity into you, awakening the
Mm.
internal connection into you, and
Mm.
basically activating your energies and your environment and your mind to a higher living rather than small mind
Mm.
living and being more positive, being present in the moment. And the way I divided that into is my 5 methods. So the first is breathing,
Mhm.
and I will talk about that because that's what makes activation. Breathing is very important. I mean, without breath there's no life. Breath is life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Some people think breath is life, that I'm breathing, I'm living, and I don't have to focus in on it. That's where we are wrong, because breathing affects every cells of our physical body, everything that happens inside it. The way we breathe, when you are stressed, your breathing is shallow. When you are happy, when you have a joy mood, your breathing is full because you it's affecting every single thing. So
Mm.
breath is first part of the method.
Mhm.
Activation, you have to understand the breathing. um,
Mhm.
I feel like everybody has same amount of breaths in their life. Until something drastic happen in your life, you're hit by the bus or something like that. If you're living a normal life, you and I have a same amount of breaths that we're gonna take our life in our
Mm.
lifetime. The only difference is because of our lifestyle, one of us may end up taking the breaths too quickly, and
Mm.
one might take its time, right? So if you look
Mm.
at the blue zones, I'm pretty sure you have heard about the blue zones and all the beautiful
Right.
diet they eat. Once again, if you talk to those people, what do they talk about? They always say the community. They're
Mhm.
happy. So they are
Mhm.
basically slowing down their breathing, that what it has been allocated to them over 100 and 110 years.
That
So
is a really cool way of thinking about that.
exactly, like one. That's why I was very clear. Unless you are hit by the bus or something else, you can. I can't predict that part. But only thing I can
Right.
say is, if we maintain the lifestyle where we bring all these good emotions to ourselves, communicate towards ourselves, eat good food, and understand breathing not just as a tool for living, but as a tool that we can consciously activate to affect every cells in our body. So that's the
Mm.
first part of the method. Second is
Mm.
meditation. Once
Mhm.
again, meditation is all about slowing down your brain waves, going deeper, disconnecting from outside and
Mhm.
connecting back to inside. Now, I don't have to mention all these benefits. People know that your brain waves are affected, you slow down, your stress is gone down, everything goes into very calm state. So that's
Mhm.
the second part of being activated, to be able to connect deeply. The third part is attention. I mean,
Mm.
it's true, and I'm the victim of that too. I mean, sometimes I'm talking to somebody, I'm thinking of something else. I'm doing something, I'm thinking. Mind is always chattering. Doesn't matter where you are. You're shopping, you're talking, you're sitting down. It's always going on. So the
Right.
only thing I do is I can't block it, stop it, use a hockey stick. Only thing I can do is I just remind myself every time consciously I understand that I'm going away in the while. I just remind myself, hey Praveen, you have to go back to this. This is where your focus should be. So I'm not hard on myself, saying, oh my God, pushing myself, but being conscious. Every time I become conscious, I remind myself. So I'm training my body and my mind again and again. Look, I have to be back to the moment because life is happening right now. It's not happening yesterday. It's not happening tomorrow. So that's the
Mm.
third part of it. Now, the
Mm.
fourth part of the activation is endurance. It's very
Mm.
important. I mean, everybody wants quick fix. Something goes wrong. Oh,
Yeah.
can you fix it? Oh, I'm not feeling well today. Can you give me 10 of these, aspirin or whatever? I just want to feel better. I just want to feel
Yeah.
better right now. So what
Yeah.
happens in during this is we lose the element of strength. We were born strong. If you look at a kid, they breathe properly, they do everything right. and they are always in the moment, and they're always doing things, and they fight, and then after that they come and hug you, because these are is how we're supposed to be. But what happens is, over time, the lifestyle we lead, everything that we do, it becomes a quick fix. And when we become a quick fix, we lose the capability of strength. That's why it's always good to do always good to stretch yourself, test your limits. Endurance
Mm,
is very important, and that's the last part is, look, we are social animals, we are human
mhm,
beings.
mm.
We need the best feelings that come to us is when we give back. When you do something good for someone, when you go out and help someone, volunteer, help your family member, the best feelings come into us, the feeling of joy, a feeling of satisfaction. So when we
Mm.
combine all that five methods, we create an activated lifestyle which is free of stress, which is basically invoking all our internal powers that are sleeping for a long time and bringing us back into this moment where life is happening.
I love that so much. I think that, the meditation, the breath, the attention, that's just breaking down mindfulness in general into these little pieces that you can just think of, how do I get these small things into my day? And then the other thing that I would note is that, the breathing and the meditation and even the attention, all of those things are really important to um, deactivate that sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, and get into that parasympathetic nervous system, which automatically is going to make you stress less, which automatically is going to, if you do it over time for a long time, is going to lead to longevity. Again, unless you get hit by a bus. Disclaimer,
Right,
right?
right, exactly. See, you never know what's ahead, but what you know is you can really help yourself consciously to become better version of yourself.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So how did you start paying attention to your breath in the first place? I feel like a lot of us live on autopilot. And I struggle a lot with clients who literally are just like, I woke up and I got this diagnosis. And it's like, no, your body was probably giving you signs along the way, but you just ignored them. You weren't really paying attention. So, what makes you stop and go, let me start paying attention to my breath?
That's a very good question. I think there comes a point in life where you are in a discovery mode, finding better stuff. So the way I found is, I'm from an Indian background. I mean, all this breath, all this chakras, everything comes from India.
Mhm,
Meditation. So the fact is, I had some knowledge of it initially, but obviously, but knowledge doesn't mean knowledge without practice is nothing. So the knowledge was there, but I wasn't practicing it actively. And then when I start to awaken and see through where I was, because I was seeing myself in other entrepreneurs and people who were acting the same way as me, I became more aware, and I then started to pay attention on those the knowledge that I have in terms of, and finding more knowledge in terms of breath work, connecting deeper, finding out what is the importance of breath work. How can it really help? Is it why was Indian yogis used to do 2 hours of breath work every day? Why
mhm,
they were able to influence all their systems through breath work, from their autonomic nervous systems, and they were able to prove everything. So right now, people talk about science. In 1960s, one of the Indian yogis, his name was Swami Rama, came to
mm,
America, and he was
mm.
able to stop his heart for 17 seconds
Oh my
on.
God.
Yeah, you can find information later on. His name is Swami Rama, and you can look on YouTube. He was able to stop his heart for 17 seconds on will. How? Through breath work. Swami
Wow.
Rama was able to put himself into delta waves within a minute, because of the influence, or because of influence autonomous nervous system. So
Wow.
all this education was there. So what that means is, the breath allows us to go deeper. The breath allows us to influence our ATP energy, our mitochondria, everything, the oxygen. So once again, I tell someone, it's not about taking in as much oxygen as possible, so you get
Right.
energy. It's about
Right.
taking the oxygen the right way. So if you take the
Mm,
oxygen to your diaphragm, and it
mm.
fills your lungs up properly and goes to every part of your cell properly, if it's delivered to the cell properly in the right manner, that means you have efficiently taken in oxygen. So the breath work was part of how efficiently we can influence our systems. And the
Mm,
more we influence a system, the more control we have. And
mm.
that's how Swami Rama was able to have control all over his autonomic nervous systems and control the temperature of the body. He could even increase the pinky, the little finger temperature to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit within seconds by yeah, and you'll say, yeah, can you believe it? I know. That's what excited me. That's what, like, you know what? How
Wow.
powerful are we? How powerful are we?
Wow.
And I just give you a small examples for everyone who's looking for some of the information. Simple. By doing the right amount of breath work and learning about your breathing, you can increase insulin sensitivity. You can
Mm,
lower the blood sugar. You can increase tissue oxygenation, improve your immune system tremendously, restore autonomic balance in your body, reduce inflammation, reduce oxidative stress, reduce anxiety and panic. Obviously, on demand, you can go into parasympathetic system, improve your mental performance, improve your focus, psychological resilience, and your circulations. So everything, the way your blood flow in your body, everything can be balanced, can be changed just through simple understanding the breath work.
that's amazing. I'm just like, what? So I mean, you've shown me, speaking of temperature changes, you sent me this picture of you and you were meditating and you were like in your swimming trunks and it was like somewhere freezing where there was snow on the ground. And I was like, okay, I can do cold showers. I'm into the idea of cryotherapy, but that is amazing. And you're basically doing all of that, sitting there meditating and not freezing to death because of your breath.
Exactly. You can activate the heat system in your body through the breath. The breath can generate heat internally. I mean, it's if you breathe the right way, and I think it's all about visualization too. You're breathing it,
Mm,
you're visualizing the heat. You're breathing it,
mm,
you're visualizing the heat. So and I mean, try yourself. If you just keep breathing right now, if you sit and you keep breathe, and then hold your breath and squeeze your body right, with the breath at the same time, and then you visualize heat, you will start to notice, wow, it ain't that bad. I can understand, and I can maintain a body temperature. So I think it's all about that, and also once again, endurance. You start to understand, what, it's just cold, and it is harsh, but it's nothing more than cold. And then
mm,
the mindset changes. I'll give you one example. In
mm.
1960s, if somebody was running 5 miles, it was like, oh my God, that person won't be able to run 6 miles. It's not humanly possible. Just an example. Then comes
Right,
a guy with his 10 miles. Wow, is it
right,
possible? Oh, nobody can run more than that. Then comes the guy with 20 miles. Oh, well, this is the top of the end we have reached now. Then the 30 miles. Now people can run 100 miles and
right.
120 miles. The fact is, human brain just need to understand our capability
Huh.
belief system. Once the belief system is there and you understand how powerful you are, there are
Hmm.
chemical changes automatically that allow you to happen. So when in 100 years ago, things that we couldn't do, it wasn't like that we weren't capable enough at that time. The human brain didn't think it was reachable at that time. The moment we believe it's reachable, we can do it. And it's
Hmm.
like every record. Why does record gets broken? Is because we know that there is a way that we practice, we work hard, we train our mind, we can break it. So
Mm.
it's all about influencing their mind and believing in something that can be done. And once that belief is there, there is a way, it will find its way to get done.
That makes sense. Wow. Did you go and study breathwork techniques, or were you literally just like, I'm about to pay attention to my breath and I'm just going to keep experimenting with it in meditation and stuff like that?
I started with experimentation, and then I started finding books and knowledge on ancient India pranama techniques. And then
Yes.
from there, I started focusing on some of those techniques. I started changing some of those techniques, started implementing them, creating my own techniques by mixing some of those techniques. So that's how it is. Basically experimenting kind of things.
Okay. Okay. So for the average person, where do you think is a really good place to start?
Well, first, for average person, the best place to start is, first of all, start focusing on your breath and see where you're breathing from. Are you breathing too fast? Are you breathing, how many times a minute you're breathing? And also
Mhm.
see where you're breathing from. Are you breathing from your belly? Are you breathing from your chest? The maximum amount of oxygen that comes through our lungs to our cells is through when you take the breath through your diaphragm, which is through your basically belly. When you fill up that area and you take the breath, that is the most efficient way of breathing because you get the most amount of oxygen. So once again, you and I talked about it. It's not about how much oxygen you want to fill in, it's about how efficiently you want to take oxygen.
No, that makes sense. And this show we focus on a lot of things related to longevity, and the reason why, like for me, it makes sense that a lot of people who live a long time, I noticed that a lot of them have a very positive mental attitude, and sometimes they have faith of some sort, or they meditate, they pray. But it's kind of like what you were saying, which I love the way that you were talking about it, in that, like, we all maybe have around the same number of breaths, but some of us are going to take them too fast, but they've somehow figured a way to live their life in a way that they're slowing down their breath throughout their lifespan.
See, 100%. Breath is the king of the mind. And I
Mm,
always say that it's very important
mm,
because if your mind is not feeling or going sideways, if you breathe for 5 minutes, your mind will be like, thank you. So you can overcome that. And the emotions, it's a cycle. You think something bad is going to happen, your breathing becomes slow. When the breathing becomes slow, it goes back, a loop goes back to your mind, and your mind feels worse. Then the worse mind makes your breathing more slower, and then the loop goes back. So do you see?
mm,
There's a loop back between the mind and the breath, and the mind and the breath, and mind and the breath, and how you feel. So,
mm,
in order to get out of the loop, you need to cut something. So you need to cut the loop, and the way you cut the loop is by activating the parasympathetic nervous system by slowly breathing and just connecting with your breath.
hmm.
So,
No, that is really, it's just all like hitting me like, well, we always talk about, at least in health and wellness, we talk about the gut brain axis a lot because there's a lot of connections between gut issues and mental instability and all that stuff. When you throw in the whole mind thing, this is like a whole other system. You realize there's multiple factors that are affecting the way our brain is working and how we're reacting to things.
yes, no, I completely, it's all a connection. Even the gut health, just an example.
Mm,
We
mm,
all talk about gut health. Think about
mm.
it. How have you ever noticed when you are anxious or you're fearful, something happens in your gut? A lot of people end up going to toilet about 15 times or 10 times.
Yes.
So, right? I mean, trust me, everybody has experienced that. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
sweaty palms, itchy sides, and so this is all everything is interconnected. Even the
Yeah.
gut health is connected to your breath because end of the day, if you are breathing calmly, if you're breathing at slow up and down in a wave form, then your gut is also feeling the same level of calmness, and that means your
Mm,
gut is able to perform at its best capacity because it's not agitated. So
mm,
that's what people have to understand. Also, breath is very important because it increases your heart rate variability. So I just give you an
mm,
example. If I breathe like this, if you look at the heart rate variability, and now
mm.
scientists are very, very curious about that. In India, they knew about that 7,000 years ago. Right
Wow.
now, the scientists are very curious about heart rate variability. They're like, oh my God, this is magical. This can solve everything. How does heart,
Right.
you can control that heart rate variability. For example, if you're like, I'm in a fear right now, so my heart rate is going like this. This is basically it's like foam that can't, that is like, going everywhere. Pretty much very ugly graph.
Yes.
Now you can have a heart rate variability machine and test. And if you do this, put your a hand on one stomach and put one hand on the chest and slowly 5 seconds up and 5 seconds down. So what you're doing is when you're going 5 seconds up to and 5 seconds down, look at your waves. So you are controlling in a uniform, rhythmic way. So
Yes.
increasing your heart rate variability. So,
Amazing.
and that's what a good emotion does. When you are joyful, when you are happy, when you are grateful, those emotion brings these types of waves. So if you go back to blue zones, the people who live 105 years old, even if they don't understand breath work much, they do understand the emotions of gratitude and love and community. So what happens is indirectly they are forming those waves continuously. So they are in harmony with the
Yeah.
body and the environment. And that's how they get to live that long.
Ah, so good. And I really felt that. So I just recently went to Sierra Leone and then decided that I'm going back again very shortly. And I decided I'm going to start spending a lot more time in Freetown, Sierra Leone. And one of the things that impacted me so profoundly was just how much community there was and how concerned everyone, even people I didn't even know very well, were about me, and how that made me feel, and then how that made me move through the world, and how much less stress I had, just because it was like something would happen, someone would volunteer to take you to the doctor, or someone's like, oh my God, let me help you with this. And I'm like, this is the way life is supposed to be. I find that in America, it's just very individualistic. But it was important for me to be reminded of what it's like in Africa, because the root, like our root, our community is just, it's, everything's very communal. Everyone is very in everyone's business. So, and there can be pros and cons, but I see more pros. I mean,
Some
there was this
cons.
young boy who was helping me while I was shooting something there. And he starts telling me the story of his grandfather who lived to 126, living by number two beach. Simple life, but he was breathing in the ocean air and he was grounding every day, and not, maybe he didn't have a lot of money, but he was eating whole foods. And, I'm like, see, that makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense.
It does, and I think it's very important. If you look at the Italy, I think the blue zones of Italy, same
Yes.
thing. The community, they have small wine together. you know they have the pasta. All these people talk about carbs these days. Oh my god, carbs are bad for you. And
Right.
all these, every person who is 105 years old apparently eats pasta and Indian bread and is unstoppable. And it
Yes.
just, I think we are focusing too much on the carbs, but we are less focusing too much on what's happening inside and how we are
Mm, mm,
digesting and how our guts and everything and mind
mm,
is working. I think
mm,
that's where the focus is. And once again, I
mm,
do understand, importance of protein, a whole
mhm,
full diet and everything. I do understand
mhm,
all that.
mhm.
But
Yes.
if you look at those people who live till 105 years old or 120, they don't
Yeah.
have a pen and paper that they're writing down, oh my God, today I had three carbs, tomorrow I.
No,
They're not.
they're not. They're living their best lives. They're literally just living.
So they're not doing that, and I think that is what we need to understand. We are in a society of Google. What that
Yeah.
means is, my nose is itchy, let me type on Google, oh, it might be it might be nose cancer. Oh my god, oh no. This is what we are living in, and that's so those people here, when those people who are living to 120, when their nose is itchy, you know what they're saying? All right, let
What?
me scratch the itch. That's it.
Right.
So we are too much into things. We are finding too much information too easily available. We're not trusting our internal self. We are creating
Mhm.
some of these diseases ourselves because we are looking so hard to find them that they begin to appear.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I say that all the time. That is so good. Because it's people, and I talk to my doctor colleagues about this too, because we talk about how it matters how health professionals talk to people, because the mind is so powerful that if someone tells you you have 2 months to live and you believe it, it could actually happen. So it's like, it's important to keep our minds guarded from the information, the stuff coming at us.
I can't remember the name of the guy. It was 1960. This guy had some type of cancer,
Yeah.
and there was a medicine that was approved for that cancer. Oxytocin, I can't remember that, but I will just
Okay.
give you the substance of it. And the
Yeah.
guy, when the medicine was approved, the doctor told the guy that this medicine will be able to cure you completely. The guy took the medicine, and then after 2 weeks, the tumor of the whatever it was, disappeared. And he was like really happy, and the doctor was like, "Oh my god, amazing!" But then the scientific study came out, and they found out that medicine was not that it's supposed to be. It's actually creating
Mhm.
more problems. Then the
Mhm.
guy read that paper, and the cancer came back.
No.
Then then again then again there's another thing happened. The doctor said, well, I think maybe this medicine is effective in some way. And the guy went back home, and he became healthy again. But then the FDA completely destroyed the medicine by saying this was the worst medicine ever. And then he couldn't take it, he died. So at one point he's believed, and the other point he's thought. I will send you the story. Actually, you know what? I heard the story and I actually
Yes.
found the story. I will send that to you so you can see it
Wow.
later on,
Yes.
because I couldn't remember the name of the person and name of the medicine. So I'll send that to you. It's actually listed in a lot of
Okay.
places. And so what do you
Wow.
say of that? It was a belief. On one end, he believed he's going to get well, and on the other end, he was like, "Oh my god!" So that's where the placebos work. Placebos are very important, and I think what we need to learn is, as friends, as a society, how do we give placebos to each other?
Mm.
How do we give that?
Mm.
So, I went to India recently, so I met a friend from old time, and he told me, "Oh my God, Praveen, you look so thin, and I hope you're okay. You don't have any disease." So he was not giving me a placebo. He was giving me opposite of placebo. But my
Mm.
mind was like, I completely said, "Oh," I said, "No, no, 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 no. I am in the prime of my life, full of energy, and I'm right. I feel great." But
Right.
I, at one point in my life, if somebody said that to me, I would have gone and checked on Google.
Mm.
Why at age of something that I'm losing weight? And the Google would have
Oh.
given me 60,000 diseases, and I would have probably taken those diseases for a fact. And then, so it's about learning how to give placebo to each other. That's what true
Mm.
friends are. That's what the community is. So when you go back to Africa, so when the communities are together, when they're laughing, they're giving each other placebos.
Yes, yes, yes. And I feel like mine, at least starting from my 20s, I was like, let me find all the evidence and gather all this evidence, and I believe that I can actually age very slowly. So I'm gonna go find all these people who've done that, and I'm gonna focus on that.
No, I
That's
agree.
basically yeah.
I agree. And
So
people get too much attached to, "Oh my God, you got white hair, you're aging." No, I know people who had white hair when they were 30 years old and they are now 100. So
yes.
people get attached to appearances. You should really
Mm,
look at your age from inside.
that's good. Wow. Based on your personal and professional experience, what now would be your definition of success?
It's actually a very, very, very good question. My definition of success would be how many people around me are well better off because of me, and how satisfied I feel inside when I close my eyes and I have no attachment to anything in this world.
Mm, mm, that's
That's the
good.
definition. It's because, a great car would have been a definition of success for me a long time ago. But a
Mm-hmm.
great car doesn't help the community around me, it doesn't elevate other people around me. And when the car is older, like everything else, which is, impermanent, then I will find something else to make me happy, and then something else. So the success is about how do I change environment around me, and how do I change environment inside of me. That's what success to me is.
I love that so much. Where can people find you online?
They can look up at Mr. Activator on Instagram, Mr. Activator on Twitter. By the way, my Twitter account was hacked by a Bitcoin person. So now
Oh
finally I
no.
got it. So I finally got it back. He was putting all the Bitcoins on it. So please don't follow any of that. But yeah, Mr. Activated on Facebook. And once again, you all have activation inside of you. And
Mm,
we all are Mr. or Mrs. Activated inside of us, each other.
yes.
We just have to help activate each other.
I love it. Thank you so much, Parveen. You're the bomb.com.
Thank you.